And welcome back. It's Drinking with the Boys. I'm Chase Almy.
Draft Recap Special. I'm Corey Stevens.
Corey was all jazzed up this whole week. The draft got us in a little bit of trouble, but who knows how that's going.
You were pretty jazzed about the draft.
I was pretty jazzed about the draft until a little bit earlier today.
In case you didn't know, guys, we were both out there working, serving some food and beverages at the draft. We had a great time, a lot of good pictures, a lot of good people to hang out with. And now the draft is over, and we get to look back at what happened.
Right, yeah, me and Corey met. I actually met a fan for every team.
Nice.
I made contact with all 32 representatives.
Did they audition, and now you're going to pick a new one?
Nah, dude, I talked to them or whatnot. The hardest one to find, honestly, though, was an Arizona Cardinal fan.
Yeah, I didn't see much of that.
That was the hardest.
And I saw several Wyoming Cowboys fans.
I saw a few Jacksonville Jaguars,
Yeah,
which I was very impressed with.
Because why would you let yourself out in public?
Right.
A bunch of Cleveland Browns fans, Giants fans, Bills fans, Eagles fans saw it all, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
Titans.
the one thing I will say about the Jacksonville Jaguars is they may not be the Jacksonville Jaguars for long.
What?
The owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars is in talks about buying Wembley Arena in London, England, which could possibly move the team base to London, which is what Roger Goodell wants. Oh, and thank you, City of Dallas, everybody that was out at the draft, for booing Roger Goodell better than they did at Philadelphia.
See, the problem is they put up, they'd go announce those picks, and they'd put, Cowboys Legends would be up there. Or, Staubach went up for a pick, I think. And then, or they bring out the kids.
Yeah.
You can't boo the kids.
Yeah,
right?
I think next year, if Roger Goodell, we'll know what kind of pussy Roger Goodell is next year. If Roger Goodell first pick comes out with some fucking kid with cancer, some underprivileged kid, which I'm not making fun of. I think it's great that they do things for kids with special needs and kids who are terminally ill and things like that. I think it's great what they do as far as a charity thing. But Roger Goodell, you better fucking ball up and be a fucking man and take yourself out there, because next year it's just going to get louder and louder and louder.
Yeah. Get up there and take it. Fans aren't going to like you if you're going to be an idiot.
No. Also, on Friday of the draft, which was the second and third round for the draft, Amazon released All or Nothing, the Dallas Cowboys series.
There you go. It is time to watch that. And what is the best clip from that, Jay?
So the best clip that I've found so far
revolves around high school football.
In Texas. And it revolves around a little bitty town out west or east of Dallas, which Corey and I both have some ties to.
Good old Royce City.
Good old Royce City.
What is their mascot? I don't even remember.
They're the Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Right, the Bulldogs.
Let me tell you guys something.
They've got a stadium befitting any team in Texas for a little, 4A?
Yeah, they're a small school. They're not anything big.
Fancy new
they just
stadium,
got a fancy new Walmart, and that brings in a lot of things. There are other things. It is a growing community. I will give you that.
Well, yeah.
It is growing. It is booming. But Highland Park, which is where Jerry Jones's grandson goes to school.
It's because Stephen lives there, right? Jerry Stephen lives. Have houses there.
So they're playing Royce City out at Royce City, and it's the whole family. It's Jerry Jr. It's it's mom.
Steven. Everyone's out there.
Yeah, Charlotte, and what's the daughter's name?
I don't know.
I can't remember, Sharon or something like that. So they're all out there watching this. They're all out there watching this baseball or this football game, and they carry on for a good minute and a half about a fucking hot dog.
Yeah, they're really pros at talking with their mouth full. That's what I learned.
Jerry's like, now this is a hot dog.
It's a stadium hot dog. It's nothing impressive.
And Jerry Jr.'s like, he tried to sell me, Dad, on the sausage on a stick, but this is a good hot dog. We got to get that bun. This is the bun we need at the stadium. Steve's like, no, I think it's the whole hot dog, Dad.
No, Jerry, you're just hungry.
Jerry,
it's a normal cheap-ass hot dog.
But then, they all start,
every single one of them
theorizing on what's
face.
going on with this hot dog, and Jerry Jr.'s like, Dad, they wrap the bun in foil. And he's like, I don't care what to do. We need this bun at the stadium.
Charlotte's over there like, God damn, I don't want to eat this anymore.
What the hell are we doing? But that's been the best part of it. Another good part is, hey, what's his name actually has a soul? Jason Garrett. Garrett has a soul.
Man, are
Garrett,
you coming around on him?
I'm coming around on Garrett the human being. I'm not coming around on Garrett the coach yet.
No.
Like he does say a few things. If there could be a season for there to be a behind the scenes, it would be last season.
Yeah.
You have the Dan Bailey deal. They cover the Switzer kicking saga.
Heath was kicking.
Heath was kicking. No, and then they covered the kneeling and
I bet.
Yeah,
they talked a lot about
anthem
the
deal.
Stupid anthem.
They didn't cover it as much as I thought they would. Well, they didn't cover that much, and I knew that's how it would be because Jerry Jones. He ain't gonna let anything that's about Jerry Jones. Yeah.
No.
But there was a moment.
Big? Jerry is bigger.
Right. There was a moment where Jason Garrett in the scenes with the anthem was very like, I want to talk about this. And I think it was the offensive line coach was like, why the fuck are we wasting our time on this? You're doing exactly what they fucking wanted with this thing. Making a mountain out of a fucking molehill. Mm-hmm. And he was right on it. And they kind of had a little back and forth debate on, here's how I feel about it. I'm with you, but we have to address it because this is going to be coming down the pipe. And that. I thought that was very interesting. I also found how they dealt with Ezekiel Elliott before the suspension.
Man, that is what I learned from that little clip. Zeke just plasters a nice look on his face for 5 minutes, goes into Jerry's office, and just stares at him while Jerry waxes eloquent about, taking challenges in your life and making yourself a better person. And Zeke is just like...
Yeah, he has that awkward smile
the whole time.
No, but there was and anybody who's a Cowboys fan remembers the catastrophe that was the Denver Broncos game.
Yeah, that was the first catastrophe, and then
there was a play, right? There was a play where it was a slant pass to Dez Bryant,
and it bounced right off his hands.
Bounced off his hand,
right?
Goes in for a pick six.
Yeah.
And there's that shot of Zeke Elliott not even doing anything, putting his hands on his hips and just walking.
True, yes.
And people rode him about giving up and giving up and giving up. And Jerry Jones made the comment, we can't let him know that we're going to let that slide. But he went to defense on him on there's other things going on with Zeke that we need to take into consideration when we see things like this. He didn't give up.
Right.
And I think that was one, and even on the NFL Network broadcast where they talked about that and they had Deion Sanders, he made them address the term giving up because he didn't want it to go as a way of saying he's given up on things, he's this, he's that, because there's two terms in giving up. And I understand that. I've played sports. You've played sports. Giving up entirely and just saying fuck it is a way totally different thing than being upset or being flustered or something like that and just kind of not giving a shit for a minute.
Yeah.
And I think that was really the point that was trying to be made. But it's a lot of fun. You can get Amazon Prime. I think 56 or 60% of all Americans have Amazon Prime. Yeah. But if you fall into that 40 to 44% that don't, you can get a 30-day free trial on it.
There you go.
And watch it, get it all knocked out.
You can get it cheap.
Right? It's 8.
Go watch that.
It's 8 episodes. It's an hour long. It's long. The longest one out of the 3 seasons. If you're a football fan in general, they did one for the Michigan Wolverines, and then they did one for another team before that, the year before. Really good show. It's very similar to Hard Knocks, but I think it's a lot better. It's more put together than Hard Knocks is. But yeah, that came out Friday of the draft. I tried to squeeze that in. I worked 42 hours from Thursday morning until Saturday night.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of good times. So why don't we get into the actual draft?
For sure. Let's go.
So why don't we start from the back? Trey Quinn got drafted. Trey Quinn, who we mentioned, Lake Charles boy, went.
Oh, is that the guy that got me in trouble?
And went to SMU. No. He was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the very last pick of the draft. So
right.
He will forever have that title. He went to the Washington Redskins.
Well, let's talk about the last pick of the first round.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Were you surprised at where he fell?
I was, because based on what I said in the last episode, I thought he would be gone before 19. I thought it would be 5 quarterbacks before that.
I was really when
people were moving up. People moved up for cornerbacks and stuff instead of him. So
right. Well, and I honestly, especially now hearing the news that broke today that there were talks of the Patriots trading up to number 2 to pick up Baker Mayfield.
They must not have felt the same way about Jackson.
I was surprised because he was still there when they made their pick, and then the Ravens traded up to get that 32nd pick and take him.
If there's one person I'm going to trust with draft opinions, it's Belichick, I guess.
I'm going to trust him with every opinion.
So if he thought Mayfield was quality enough to move up for, but not Jackson, then dang, look how Cleveland.
But that even makes
then
what's
look
going
how Cleveland,
on.
Baker Mayfield's going to be your franchise for the next 12 years.
Unless he slaps a woman in Dallas or has a drug problem. Because, Johnny Manziel was going to be...
Shut up. I don't even know what you're going off on. But
he was going to be the face of the franchise. Johnny Manziel, a little 5'6".
Yeah, he was.
From Tyler, Texas. They quit claiming him after he fucking fell from grace.
5'11". Anyway, so...
tallest guy to ever live in Texas A&M University.
Okay.
Fucking small-ass fucking people. They're
false.
Small little minds.
All
of them vote for Trump.
So,
giggle.
The Patriots did. They stayed where they were. They picked offensive tackle Isaiah Wynn, and they picked Sony Michel, running back. The Patriots, they never have a strong running back.
No.
Now they've got a first-round pick on running back, Sony Michel from Georgia. They also seem to get incredible value from their offensive linemen. I don't remember them taking an offensive lineman high in the draft ever. They seem to also always find those 3rd to 5th round guys who end up being, good, solid players for them for several years.
Right. And I think one thing that, the Lamar Jackson thing is the durability. How long is he going to last in the league?
And he's a different type of quarterback than Brady, and you got to consider
which kind of makes me wonder, what they saw in Mayfield.
He can be he is more. Mayfield does run around, but not as much as Jackson.
Right.
But his strength is still in his arm, whereas Jackson, you feel like, yes, he's got a strong arm, and yes, he was accurate deep down the field, but his strength, his plus strength, would be his Michael Vick-like running.
Right.
So you need to accentuate that, whereas you feel like Baker, it's just like, it's cool, it's kind of like Aaron Rodgers, he's going to scramble some.
Yeah. No, I think, though, with the news coming out, Baker Mayfield earlier today, yesterday, which was Monday, the Tom Brady story releasing about his cryptic comments about whatever's going on out in Foxborough.
Was it, hey, do you feel appreciated enough? It was something like that.
Right.
And he's like, no, I played the 5th. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that. But he, I think, look, this whole TB12 thing, I think that Belichick thing is bullshit. I think Belichick looks at it and it's like, dude, can we play football?
Right.
And Tom thinks of it as his passion in life, basically. Second, tied with football. So, he's going to be into it. I think Belichick feels like it's kind of a stupid stuff that he needs to stop talking to his teammates about.
Right. And I think that's kind of where it goes is
because he's probably got some cold shoulders for a minute.
Right. Especially with everything that happened last year, how it happened with the TB12 guy. You know,
and he went to Kraft and demanded a trade for Garoppolo. Blah blah blah.
Garoppolo not being able to be seen by the TB12 staff.
Right.
You know, everybody else had an open door, but Garoppolo not so much.
I do like that with the Patriots. One narrative that is very true. We've seen it for years and years. Is that when you get to Tom Brady, pressure up the middle, that's when he suffers. He is nigh unto the best quarterback who has ever walked the planet. But if you get pressure right up in his face consistently the entire game, he will suffer. So they drafted a very strong interior lineman.
Right, yeah.
So that's
they went with
good
what
strategy.
was smart.
You know,
They're gonna
it's
get
a little bit of a need. Take it and run with it. What do we got? That's the back side of the draft. Let's get the front side of the draft and then hop into the Cowboys stuff.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Second pick, Saquon Barkley. The Giants, for the New York Giants. Giants also picked Will Hernandez, offensive guard, I believe in the second round from UTEP. So the Giants have had a terrible offensive line. I think they're Eric Flowers. They picked an offensive tackle who sucks. They've had some issues on O-line for the last 2 years. They tried to strengthen that, and they have a running back on, I would say, skill level of Zeke Elliott. So Giants, they were super disappointing, and a lot of it I felt like was from their coaching staff last year. There was extreme dysfunction in the organization. They had a fool as a head coach. Well, they got rid of that. So now they're still going to stick with Eli Manning, obviously, but they do have a star wide receiver and a star running back. It does complicate life for their opponents.
Well, and speaking of that, NFL released their power rankings for the draft, and the Giants ended up getting a number one because they made the Barkley pick, the Hernandez. They picked up a wide receiver at. Did they pick up a wide? No, they didn't pick up. Sorry, they didn't pick up a wide receiver. They picked up a linebacker at number 66, who, for his ability to find him in the third round, was quite good. So they geared up that offensive line. They've got a running back now. They have a mediocre quarterback. So I think it's going to be very much ground and pound.
They've got a lot of veteran talent on the defense.
Right.
So remember last offseason, they overspent on the defense. You know, they got defensive line help. They got cornerback help. It just didn't work out last year. But if they can fix that a little bit, they'll still be a talented team. I feel like the Jets are cool with Sam Darnold. They're going to roll with that. What started the interesting thing was Cleveland picking a cornerback, Denzel Ward, who was a highly ranked cornerback out of Ohio State, over Bradley Chubb. Yes, they have. They spent top picks on their defensive line previously, but and I guess whatever, they feel like they're good there, and they're going to pick that cornerback. So it kind of created a chain reaction because cornerbacks were traded up for. Green Bay was trading 18. We got cornerbacks, at 30. There was safeties picked. So it was kind of an interesting one. Josh Allen went to Buffalo. People at number 7. People think Josh Allen is, the ultimate boom or bust. A lot of questions. But one comment I did hear on the radio, a guy saying, hey, he's played in cold weather. That's no joke in Buffalo. It's no joke in Wyoming. He's got big hands. He doesn't have any fumble problems. Maybe this is the guy that we need in Buffalo. When you compare it to, you could have picked Josh Rosen, who is, the UCLA kid, probably SoCal life. He can't handle Buffalo.
No.
So maybe that's a better cultural fit. Maybe, something as simple as talking with Josh Rosen. He probably has no intention of ever living anywhere near Buffalo, New York. So you get somebody from a small town Wyoming kid, he might actually like it a lot better there.
Yeah. No, I think that was a good pick on their part. Buffalo needed that quarterback. They need a lot of things. But they look like they're going to kind of toughen themselves up. I think it'll be interesting to see how the Cleveland Browns do, based off of their number 1 pick, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, no,
they got several good picks. They kind of bolstered up the roster, but they're still the fucking Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it's Hugh Jackson. It's going to be win or go home. I bet he's got about 6 games, and if he's 2-4 or 1-5 in those 6 games, I bet he's getting fired.
So here we are.
I mean, yeah, you've been given an incredible leash, and people want to believe in you, but you get to like basically 2 straight years of first picks, top picks. You need to finally start getting some wins. So the Browns, he's going to start the season on the hot seat. He's got to show performance. There's no time for another 3-13 or worse season.
No,
Cleveland.
The Cleveland it's now or never for them.
What I do like, so this Vita Vea, we were talking about him. He's a mauler of a defensive tackle from Washington. He was picked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the very pick before the Washington Redskins, who had basically the worst run defense in the league last year. So the Redskins wanted Vita Vea. They picked Daron Payne, second best defensive tackle out of Alabama. So Redskins are trying to, not get run over absolutely by the Cowboys' offensive line every year, or by the Eagles' offensive line, or whoever else.
Anybody that has said offensive line,
right? Anybody can run them over. So they're trying to improve that. We'll see if Daron Payne is actually the guy.
Here's my question. Staying in the NFC East. So the Giants go out. NFL has them ranked for best in the power rankings for the draft class. You can tell they're trying to build things around them. They got rid of Brandon Marshall.
So, yeah, right. Go on. Sorry.
What do you think are the possibilities right now with Dez Bryant being a New York Giant by?
I think, dude, the draft is over, and I think they feel like they've got that Eli Apple guy, and they got OBJ. I feel like. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's there.
You don't think it's going to be there
because
they could offer him a smaller salary with what they have left because they have cap space.
Dude, I don't know where he's going. I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for you because the draft is over and it should be this week. It should be something like this week when Dez gets signed. If it's something, reports was that he turned down the Ravens deal. Apparently, Ravens offer him 2 years.
Right.
He didn't think that was good enough. He wants a 1-year prove-it deal. Dez, you're old. People won't give prove-it deals to an old receiver. Take 2 years and enjoy it. He's not going to get $14 million again.
No.
He's going to settle
because
for about
what was
7.
his 2-year offer? Wasn't it like 21 or something like that?
I heard it was around like a 10, 11. Right.
Okay.
Dude, it's going to, the number, I mean, if you think there's something better out there, that is great. But
and
nobody's going to give him a big second contract in a year.
No, and I don't. I think
how good he is.
Right.
He's not getting a big second contract
and I think
because he's an old wide receiver who's been injured.
And I think the Ravens, personally,
that could have been a good spot for him.
Well, and they could deal with the what is Dez Bryant.
Right.
They've dealt with Ray Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
They've dealt with Ray Rice. They've had a lot of...
Yeah, they got a good organization over there. They can handle
and
that.
they have a lot of people who are a lot like Dez. Very outspoken, very flamboyant, very charismatic people. And they've been able to handle that, and they've been able to handle egos.
Yeah.
Would have been a perfect fit for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't end up in New York.
I mean, it kind of works, but... I don't know that it's a great spot. Too much, yeah. I mean, I feel like Odell is enough of drama in the offensive staff room, player rooms. If something were to get if he was still on the market and they were in training camp and there was an injury, then sure, but. And that might be the spot. I mean, he might be waiting a while, but
so Corey, you're in the war room for the Cowboys. Let's say, okay, that 19th pick comes up. Are you making the same move they made on Thursday?
So, here's what I would have done.
Because it wasn't really somebody that had a lot of talk.
All right. Well, no, okay, he had plenty of talk, and I didn't really want to talk about him because I was kind of on board. I didn't watch a whole lot. But no, I did watch occasional bits of, good and bad. I think he's still a little bit unproven, a little bit rough around the edges. He doesn't have that intensity that you want to see from a linebacker. Like when you're run stopping intensity, like he's a big dude, but he doesn't play like he's a big bruising linebacker.
Right.
There was many times where he would go up there and kind of get washed up in the blocking and not insert himself. So kind of a weak approach, and he got watched down. He has a lot of good tape. And actually, if you're talking, hey, who's healthy? If everyone is healthy, if Sean Lee, who is a good pass defender, we've seen that over the years. We're talking nickel package third down. We're only playing 2 linebackers. Vander Esch and Sean Lee are incredibly good corner linebackers. That can be his strength in year one. So I'm cool with that. It was guys like Jeff Kavanaugh who were real like, he's a second round grade. I don't want to pick him.
Right.
And feeling that there was needs in other areas. But it's also Jeff Kavanaugh who's way on board with Michael Gallup in the third round. So it's kind of mixed bag everywhere. I think to say, hey, our oldest player with the Cowboys is Sean Lee currently, with Witten gone.
Is Witten gone indefinitely?
Oh, and that's an episode on its own, basically. Look, it seems like he actually is still on the fence. Garrett and Jones are trying to pull him back. A lot of other people are like, if he's considering retiring, let him retire. Like, maybe he's not into it. But
that was the thing. What I had heard was that he has that offer for Monday Night Football and another.
Yeah, probably $4 to $5 million a year.
Right,
like paying him as much as he's going to get paid to play. It's a hell of a gig. The thing is, I feel like it could be a Brett Favre situation. Brett Favre thought he was done, and he could not be done. He had to play another few years.
Right.
So Witten, if he has any doubts of like how much am I going to miss football, because they're going through voluntary activities right now. Normally he would be there.
Right.
If he realizes how much he misses it, I feel like he's going to have to give it another go. That he's a football dude through and through, and he wants to be out there and play. But we're only talking. At least the Cowboys' eyes are open. We're not living with Witten for the next 4 years.
Right.
We're not in that fantasy land that he's always going to give us 700 yards for the next 3 or 4 years. It's not happening. They picked a 4th-round tight end out of Stanford. Problem is his name is Dalton. So to replace him, we lost James Hanna or something, somebody due to injury as a tight end too. But so we're seeing what we got. Rico Gathers might get a shot.
Now we traded our.
So we've traded a 5th for Tavon Austin. He's a small wide receiver, kind of like Lucky Whitehead. He's a fast, quick wide receiver. So he's not your tight end, if that's what you're.
No. I knew that we.
Yes, we also traded Ryan Switzer away to the Oakland Raiders.
Right, we drafted which tight end was? Tight end was in the
tight end round 4, second round. Pick. Dalton Schultz, Stanford. Right. He apparently is a great blocking tight end. So that is something the Cowboys definitely value with a running attack.
Right.
And
that's one thing that you're going to have to replace if Witten decides to retire.
Right, and you got to assume that he's on his way out. What you have is, speaking of running attacks, Bo Scarborough in the 7th round, I'm cool with that. If there is anybody who's going to give you a couple random goal line, run somebody over, a la, who was that? Eddie Lacy with the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah.
Who was number 24 with the Cowboys back in the day? Who running back who was always running people over, like 10 years ago or something. Jones? No, it wasn't Jones. Marion Barber.
Yeah.
Marion Barber. If Bo Scarborough in the 7th round, as a backup running back, I like that pick. We traded our 5th for Tavon Austin. and got rid of Ryan Switzer because we essentially had 8 wide receivers competing for 5 or 6 spots. We've got a backup linebacker Chris Covington from Indiana, who might have some pass rush skills. Also on the pass rush front, we've got Dorance Armstrong, pick number 116, our first of the 4th round. He's got skills. He must have not really proven it quite, or he could have been better. But he's got his measurables. Athletically line up with DeMarcus Lawrence, so he looks like a mirror image there. We got a wide receiver prospect in Gallup. Some people love him. Some people think he's average, from Colorado State in the 3rd round. We also got a backup quarterback prospect from Western Kentucky, Mike White. I was looking through Dane Brugler's draft.
Cedric White?
No, Mike White, quarterback. So his recap, his scouting report on Mike White. So there's a Cedric Wilson, wide receiver from Boise, I missed. But no, he's got the arm and accuracy that you love. There was just times when he looked kind of clunky in the pocket or kind of got skittish. He may have had a couple fumble problems. I think he's got, but and size he might only be 6 foot, 190 or whatever. But he's got an arm. He's what you would like as a backup quarterback. He's got some really good tools there. So the Cowboys draft, it rated highly because they stayed and they got the one pick. Sorry, the one guy I didn't even get to, Connor Williams from UT. We filled that hole in the line. We've got a 2nd-round pick, Connor Williams, who was a 1st-round talent, a late first talent. We've got, Lyle Collins gets to stay at right tackle. We've got 3 All-Pros everywhere else. So we've got that line built back up.
Hey, and we can't forget we'll probably end up picking him up in
who's that?
Undrafted, Scott Linehan.
Matt Linehan?
Matt Linehan, yeah.
Scott Linehan's a coach.
Matt Linehan.
Right.
We got him coming from Idaho.
Oh, I'm forgetting him. Connor, we already picked enough Idaho people. We got 2 Boise States.
I know. We got all these people from over there. Come on, man.
Connor Williams, he went to Coppell High School via UT, so he's a local kid, loving it to be a Cowboy.
Looks like Vander Esch loves to be a Cowboy. He was super excited about that.
Do you think the Vander Esch signing shows us that Jalen Smith...
I feel like if you're going to roll... Okay, we signed a backup. Essentially, that's your 4th linebacker. If you've got Sean Lee healthy, I feel like Jalen and Sean are your 1st and 2nd down linebackers. You're only running 2 linebackers most of the time on almost exclusively on 3rd down, and then a lot of times on 2nd down. I feel like depending on that substitution, you're putting Vander Esch in on 3rd downs. So I feel like it's Jalen and Sean or Vander Esch and Sean Lee. So I feel like they both have a spot, and I'm still on the Jalen Smith recovery train. Is going totally fine. I think he showed a lot of improvement last year. Late last year.
But do you think that's the plateau that they're thinking?
But you think about early last year against the Rams when we gave up 50 points, and Jalen Smith is trying to turn and run with tight ends, and he was getting gassed every single time. So that's a little.
But do you think that they think this is the wall?
Yeah, I think they are happy with Xavier Woods at safety. They're happy with their cornerbacks. They didn't pick a single one. They feel like a little bit of defensive, linebacker, defensive tackle with the trade, minor little fill-ins, and they can have a good defense. That does concern me, though. We got Covington, we got a linebacker, defensive lineman, defensive end, Dorance Armstrong, and you trade for that defensive tackle from the Raiders with Switzer, and people are saying he's no good. So essentially, you have no secondary pieces. I feel like you could have picked one somewhere in there. Take a flyer on a guy. You had success with a 5th round pick 2 years ago at corner. So,
We got a couple linebackers, a couple defensive linemen. We'll see what happens.
I think it's looking up for us. I think it's looking up for several teams in the NFC East with the picks that they made. I think Philadelphia is still going to be the team to be chasing in the NFC. Cowboys, though, based off of the draft picks, if everything goes well, what do you see the record for? The Cowboys?
I feel like it's kind of like in baseball, AL West. You got the Houston Astros reigning champions falling a little bit, maybe. It's hard to sustain that success year after year. The Eagles kind of came out of nowhere. I feel like they've got incredible skill.
I feel like football, though.
They've got incredible skill on the defensive line. You wonder, hey, your wide receivers kind of outperformed last year. We're better than expectations.
Right.
Does that happen again? They picked a tight end, Dallas Goedert. I think maybe they're going to go with it that way. The Eagles, I feel like is fine, but there's more. There's only a 16-game sample, right? So the little tiny fluctuations take you from maybe they were 13-3 last year in the regular season, take you down to 10-6.
Right.
I think absolutely the Cowboys were 9-7, and there was a disappointing 9-7, right? You think of 2-game improvement, you're 11-5, and you can easily win the division.
Exactly.
So I feel like I think the Giants can turn it around. I don't think they can be a wild card team. I don't think they're turning it around to a playoff team. I think 8-8 is a turnaround year for the Giants.
Yeah.
They still have Eli Manning, who's average quarterback.
Right.
That's
that's why you draft somebody like Saquon Barkley who can add to a running game.
Yeah,
they beef up that offensive line.
Yeah, Zeke made everything look incredible, and we were 13-3, right? First season. The thing is, the Giants don't have that offensive line to turn Barkley into the same way that Zeke was, 2,000-yard runner. He can be great, but I don't think he's turning into that. I don't think he's having a 2,000-yard season.
No, but also Barkley isn't as good on the run as Zeke was.
Nah, I think he's definitely as good.
You think he's as good?
In all ways, yeah. But you have to use him right, and you got to get that mojo. It takes some of that special little mojo to get to 13-3 like the Cowboys did. I don't think it's turning around for the Giants that much.
Well,
close, but not that much.
We've got 2 more months until.
Yeah, we got months of nothing until training camp. So let's watch some baseball.
Let's do some baseball.
Let's cheer for LeBron to lose in the playoffs.
Man, I am good for all of that. But yeah, so thanks for catching up on the draft recap. We're going to go back into a little bit of a hibernation. Me and Corey may be back here quicker than we thought. But check us out on Instagram and Facebook, Drinking with the Boys. Twitter, DRNKNW, the Boys. We're on YouTube. We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. We'll be on Stitcher and hopefully Spotify and iHeartRadio for the beginning of the 2018 season. But until next time, guys, keep watching that football. Keep watching sports in general, guys. Keep up. And always, if you ever get a chance, go drinking with the boys.